Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Life of a Business Manager podcast. I'm so sorry I've been out for a good month. Unfortunately, I've been dealing with major allergies. For anyone listening out there, I do live in California, so it's been a bit rough, but I'm working on a solution. Maybe I'll share it on the next episode. Let's get back to podcasting. This is a podcast where we break down the real world skills every business manager needs to succeed. I'm your host, Sina Chan, and today we're diving into the daily routine of a business manager. So let's get to it. Now, there have been so many times in my life where I've been asked exactly what do I do and what does a typical day for me consist of? If you've ever wondered what a business manager really does all day, from our early morning meetings to late night follow-ups, I'll walk you through my typical day. Some people might think that business managers just sit in meetings, but we actually do more than what's on the job description. So let's get started and show you what a typical day is for me as a business manager. Okay, everyone, let's jump into segment one, which is my morning routine and how I start my day. Let's start from the very beginning, because how you start your day as a business manager really sets the tone for everything else that follows. For most business managers, the day begins early. Personally, for me, I'm usually up between 6 to 7 a.m. Before I even open my inbox, I like to get my body moving. So I try to squeeze in a quick morning workout. And then after, I make my coffee and I have my breakfast. While I'm eating my breakfast, I'm reviewing my calendar and my agenda from my work phone. So by around 8 to 9 a.m., it's work time for me. I check my email and messages to make sure nothing urgent popped up overnight, especially if I'm working with different team projects or vendors in different time zones. Anything time sensitive gets flagged and added to my priority list. Then comes the daily review. I open my calendar, my Microsoft Outlook, my Microsoft OneNote, and mentally map out the key tasks and meetings for that day. For example, I might have a recurring operational check-in meeting or a daily team huddle with my supervisor or preparing for a senior leadership meeting with some of the VPs that I currently support. All of this can happen before noon. So around 9 to 10 a.m., I'm asking myself some questions such as what's most important today? Who needs to be supported? And what do I need to move forward so I'm not scrambling later? By mid-morning, I've already made a handful of urgent decisions, delegated a few tasks, and set the direction for the rest of the departments that I currently support. And we haven't even eaten lunch yet. For all of the meetings throughout the day, I really try to be fully prepared. Unfortunately, as a business manager, every meeting requires some sort of preparation just in case you're asked any questions. So I typically spend about 30 minutes to prepare for each meeting. Let's go to segment two, which is managing the business throughout the day. Now that the day's in motion, things are starting to pick up. From mid-morning through early afternoon, I like to call this the daily drill of the day. It's when the most action is happening. When we talk about managing the business, this block of time is filled with a mix of problem solving, decision making, and communication. On any given day, I might be reviewing department performance financials, responding to vendor issues, or jumping into a meeting to help mitigate a project. At times, my days consist of attending meetings all day, working on team projects with stakeholders, dealing with the urgent operational requests, trying to translate to stakeholders that have different understanding of the problem, and making sure all the departments that I support are within the operating budget, managing the expectations from everyone else that's contacted you throughout the day. Some key parts to consider when you're trying to manage the business are prioritization, delegation, documentation and reporting, and flexibility. So the first key part of being a business manager is prioritization. It's not just about staying busy, it's about staying focused on the right things. Sometimes that means pausing a less urgent task to jump into a fire drill. Other times it means saying no to something that isn't aligned with your current goals. For example, we did have an urgent issue earlier this week where we noticed our supply costs for a contract from a vendor had suddenly spiked. I had to pause my afternoon to meet with the finance and procurement team to investigate. Within an hour, we were able to discover a billing issue with the vendor. We were able to resolve it the same day, but only because I was tracking the invoices already closely and responding quickly. The second is delegation. As much as I'd love to tackle everything myself, it's just not sustainable. I'm only one person. I work so closely with the operators to make sure tasks are distributed and expectations are clear. Being able to delegate your tasks is so important because your to-do list could be 2 to 3 pages long. The third is, let's not forget about documentation and reporting. As a business manager, I usually spend a good chunk of my time either updating performance reports, reviewing financials, or preparing data for leadership presentation. If you're not comfortable with numbers and dashboards, this role can feel very overwhelming. The fourth is flexibility. Some days go exactly as planned, which is great. Other days, you might have to deal with unexpected situation. Some of those situations could be a broken equipment, a credit hold, last minute case scheduled, vendor concerns, employee issues, or a last minute executive request. Nothing is perfect. It's how you manage the expectations when you're dealing with these problems. So always stay flexible because being flexible helps you get through the day. Also, one recommendation I wanted to let everyone know is to carve out time to meet with key stakeholders, your peers, or cross departmental partners. The reason why is these one-on-one meetings are critical for maintaining a work relationship, understanding team morale, and staying connected to what's actually happening on the ground. So throughout the day, there will be multiple requests, problems, and honestly, some things do not work out as you plan your day. So you have to be prepared for the unexpected. Okay, everyone, on to the next segment 3, which is to reserve an hour during your day for deep and long-term thinking work. Honestly, I really try to block my time either early in the morning or in the afternoon, but it is difficult, especially if you have those days where you're in meetings all day. For me, when I block out time, it can be 30 minutes to an hour for some deep work, and I feel that I'm more productive and I'm able to complete my to-do list properly. It's just a time to focus on your list besides helping everyone else. Now you're helping yourself. So I would recommend finding time on your calendar daily and just block out the time. Some reasons why you want to block out time for yourself is just to focus on strategic planning or do any check-ins that are necessary for you. The reason why blocking time for deep work is important is to take care of any projects that require you to completely concentrate. It can be so challenging to focus 100% when you're getting interruption from the departments that you support throughout the day. Second is to make sure that you block out time for something that is considered strategic time block. These are block times where you avoid meetings and really dig into strategic work. Some of that work could consist of preparing a budget, optimizing workflows, drafting a business case for senior leadership, or mapping out resource needs for a new project that's opening. It's easy to get caught up in the daily noise, but part of my job as a business manager is always looking ahead. It's not just reacting to what's exactly in front of me. The third is you can also use this scheduled time to do check-ins with your peers or management. This is good for you because these aren't just status updates. They're actually conversations about career goals or personal professional development. One last recommendation is to give yourself time to be creative. Sometimes I feel as business managers, you're so busy throughout the day that we don't have time to regroup and get creative on any initiatives or strategic improvement or any type of brainstorm where we can improve workflow, reduce costs, or solve a persistent issue. So it's always best to carve out time to be creative and innovate as well. Okay, everyone, the last segment is wrapping up your day. As the day winds down, I shift into what I call a wrap-up mode. This part of the day is all about closing loops and setting myself up for success for tomorrow. First, I go through my to-do list and I check what has been done. I flag what needs to be carried over to the next day and add any new action items that came up throughout the day. Sometimes I'll also leave short notes for myself or little reminders. Second, I also take a final pass through my email. Unfortunately, I'm not the best with emails, but not everything needs a response right away. So I try to clean up any lingering messages or at least file them into my task system so nothing slips through the cracks. Third, if there were any major updates from the day, like a shift in a project direction or something that might impact the team, I will send out a quick email summary to keep everyone aligned. That kind of proactive communication makes a big difference. difference. Fourth is to prepare yourself for tomorrow, setting priorities for the next day and identifying areas for improvement. One last tip is if you do have time at the end of the day, always try to have a reflection with yourself. For example, consider what worked well and what can be improved. On good days, I'll reflect for a minute what worked well, what could have gone better. I don't actually write a full journal or anything, but just a mental check-in to help me improve how I approach the next day. And then it's time to shut the laptop. Business managers deal. Hey there, fellow business managers. Are you looking to save time and boost productivity in your role? Let me introduce you to my Stand Store, where I've put together a collection of ready-to-use business templates designed specifically for people like us. These templates are practical, professional, and crafted with the day-to-day challenges of business management in mind. Check out my Stand Store now at standstore.com/life of a business manager. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast and hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Business managers deal with a lot throughout the day, such as meetings, people, pressure from senior leadership. So creating a clean mental break is so important. For me, that means either going for a walk after work, cooking dinner, or going out to dinner, or just watching a good show. Okay, so that's a full day in my life as a business manager from start to finish. As you can probably tell, this role isn't just about checking boxes or keeping things running. It's about balancing strategy and execution, people and performance, quick decisions, and long-term thinking. If you're someone who enjoys variety, problem solving, and working with people to create a structure out of chaos, this could be a great path for you. Here's one piece of advice I do have for aspiring business managers out there. Just know it's never the same day twice, so you're never bored. I've never been bored in this role. Every single day is different and interesting, so I highly recommend it. Thank you so much for joining me today on Life of a Business Manager. If this episode helped you understand the role a little more clearly or spark some interest, consider following the show or leaving a review. And if you have any questions about the role, feel free to email me in the show notes below. As always, thank you so much for listening and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, everyone. Bye. Hi, everyone. Just a reminder, the content provided in our podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with appropriate professionals before making any business decisions based on the information provided in the podcast. We do not endorse any products or services mentioned unless stated in any of our episodes. Thank you for listening.